I'm hitting go live, which means YouTube's gonna try and go live, and as far as I know, that makes me live. Hey everybody, I'm Josh Hughes. Welcome back to Next Level Nonprofit Video. This is a channel where I save you time, cash, and sanity as we all pursue the next level of nonprofit video together. That means working with churches, small businesses, anything who's cause-based, anybody who's got a mission. And one of the things that those missions might be requiring right now is that you figure out the world of live streaming. Since the quarantine started, and most of the world is doing it right now, we've all been forced to socially distance and stay in our houses. And for a lot of nonprofits, that means, shoot, we've got to find a new way to connect to our tribe. So to that end, I've spent most of the week so far, actually all of the week so far, going deeply in detail about the different pieces of a live stream architecture. If you want a quick overview of those, basically there's 5 pieces to every live stream. There's the inputs, like the camera and the microphone. There's the switcher, which decides what things do we see and hear at any given time, and then sends a program feed to the third piece. The third piece is your encoder. Your encoder is responsible for sending that video feed up to the internet. At that point, it's received by your distribution platform, which puts your stream in front of other people. Beautiful, right? And then lastly, there are the endpoints, people's, their phones or their laptops or wherever they're going to be viewing the stream from. We need to take all 5 of these pieces into account to craft a live stream with excellence. So let's dive right into distribution platforms. I will preface this by saying I'm going to move pretty fast today. There is a significant storm outside, and we've lost power twice here at the Epic Studio, which is really just another room in my apartment. So if we lose power, my bad. I will finish the stream and then upload an archived offline copy as soon as I get the internet back so that material is there for you. But fear not, we will still talk about all the distribution platforms. So let's jump right into it. There are 2 kinds of distribution platforms. There are ones that I call end-user facing and ones that I call backdoor or backwards facing distribution platforms. Basically, there are some platforms like YouTube where they are also the place your users will go to view your live stream, right? You go to YouTube to see a live stream. But YouTube will also distribute your live stream to YouTube users. There are also some services where all they do is send your live stream to other places. So there's a service called Dacast, for example, D-A-C-A-S-T. All they do is receive your live stream and then send it to lots of different places like Vimeo, YouTube, Facebook, somewhere that your endpoints will actually view the stream. So there's those 2 different kinds, and we'll go over the pros and cons moving forward here. The first thing we need to figure out is where your users will consume your content. So let's go over some of these distribution platforms, and then we'll figure out which one to choose and how we should choose it and why. So I'm going to start with YouTube because we're on YouTube right now. This is YouTube. We're here. YouTube is a really robust, well-built platform with a whole lot of tools. In terms of distribution, they can receive, they're at any given time, they're receiving thousands and thousands of minutes every single minute of content from users. So they have tools that are built to handle the high capacity. They have not really had any issues since the quarantine began that I've observed with getting streams out to people reliably. You can collect money, donations, etc. They're called super chats on Twitch. I think on YouTube they actually have a different name, but they might be super chats here too. And you can interact with your tribe in the comments. So that's YouTube as a platform. Another option is Twitch. Twitch is a streaming platform that's designed for video game streamers, but they're working hard to grow out of that niche and try and bring more things in. It has a very streamlined system for collecting money. So if raising donations or things like that is your primary objective, then Twitch might be a great option for you. They, like YouTube, are their own distribution platform. So you encode straight to Twitch and they take care of the rest. It's not particularly clean looking. In my experience, low-tech folks get overwhelmed by Twitch rather quickly, so it may not be the best place if your tribe is made up of older folks, or if it's not, if you've got a very varied target audience. Twitch is kind of a niche platform right now, reaching towards gamers, younger millennials, and older, is it Gen Z, is that next, or Gen X? So that's something to bear in mind if you're looking at Twitch, but they're still a strong platform that handle lots and lots of live streams very well. There's also Facebook Live. Facebook Live is not as great for collecting money, but they are the pinnacle of interaction tools. You can post polls and surveys, you can interact in the chat or the comments with your tribe. You can you can follow up with people, so they're really good for relational value, right? You can have a call to action attached to your live stream as well. So if you're trying to collect donations, you can attach a donate button, and that will take people to like your PayPal or your Venmo or wherever you're collecting donations. So it's not impossible to raise money, but really where Facebook shines is that relational value. And also, your tribe are almost guaranteed to be there, right? Most people especially in America, but even in the world, most people have a Facebook account. That's just statistically true. Let's talk about Instagram. Instagram Live is pretty much requires that you use a phone to send your live stream to the platform. And the reason is that Instagram does not give out your stream key. And we talked yesterday about how in order for an encoder to send a live stream somewhere, you have to put a stream key in it, and that stream key says, okay, here's where I'm going, here's the web address, so that when it beams that up there, it gets to the destination. Instagram doesn't give that out, so you have to use their app, which is integrated, in order to use the camera on your phone. There is a way around this, but it's very clunky. There's a software called yellowduck.tv. I kid you not, Yellow Duck. And Yellow Duck is, in my opinion, not all it's quacked up to be. I just had to make that pun. But, can't believe I just did that live on the internet. But we're moving on. Yellow Duck is a way to get your Instagram stream key and RTMP URL so that you can put those into the... Sorry, so unprofessional of me. I got a text. So that you can put those details into your encoder and send a stream to Instagram. Where it falls behind and is not the greatest idea is that Instagram is expecting a vertical feed from a phone. If you send it a landscape feed, it will just crop into the middle of the feed and you'll just lose the information that's out there. So for a talking head piece like this, as long as I'm dead center in the frame, I will probably be okay. But if I were doing a conversation with someone else where I'm over here and there's another person over here, you're going to see like this person's shoulder and you're going to see that person's shoulder, and that's it. So it's really clunky. It's not the greatest interface. Honestly, Instagram is most useful for quick updates or behind the scenes looks at things. You don't really want to send like a polished live stream to Instagram. They're just not the right platform for it anyway. So at least that's, my recommendation. Now, there's also Vimeo Live, and Vimeo is kind of like the responsible dad of user-facing distribution platforms. They are their own distribution platform. Like, you can go to vimeo.com and watch a live stream, but they will also redistribute to other platforms like Facebook and YouTube natively. What do I mean by natively? I mean, if I were to use a Vimeo account and live stream there, I could link my Facebook and I could link my Instagram and I could link wherever I want, and Vimeo will rebroadcast that stream as though it were posted from those platforms to start with. So like if I weren't doing that, if I took this live stream and I wanted to share it with my Facebook audience, I would have to copy the YouTube link and paste it there, and they would have to click that, leave Facebook, and go to YouTube. Now that's really clunky, and you're going to lose some people because they don't want to leave whatever platform they're on. If instead you rebroadcast like Vimeo allows you to do, then your Facebook users see a Facebook live stream and your YouTube users see a YouTube live stream. So this is really powerful, especially for churches where you're just trying to get it on as many platforms as you can. This is a great way to move your stream around so that it can reach the most places. Now, I don't always recommend doing it, and there are some reasons why you should or shouldn't, but I'm going to skip them for now. So that's Vimeo, and Vimeo is tiers of payments, so it's a subscription service, and you do have to be paying for it in order to get live streaming at all, and then I think it's another tier above before you can rebroadcast to other platforms. So that's something to keep in mind. However, for that payment, you get a very robust, well-built system. You get the ability to add graphics overlays or little title cards and things right there in Vimeo, so if you don't have a particularly fancy encoder, you can still do that. You get the ability to moderate the comments, so you can preview them before they get posted and stuff. So there's a lot that comes with that tier. It's just something to keep in mind, again, that you will end up paying for it. Now, what if you want to stream to, like, if you have an app or a website? Like, a lot of churches use Subsplash to manage their church app or their church website. In order to do that, we now need to look at redistribution platforms. So that's Vimeo will do that. They're not the only one. There are some platforms that all they do is provide reliable streams to other places. And these are tools like Dacast, which is spelled D-A-C-A-S-T. I should have prepared graphics for this, but I didn't because that's just the kind of, just toss that over there, because that's just the kind of day that it's been. But Dacast, I've used them before. I wasn't super satisfied. They have pay tiers, and those pay tiers determine how much information you can stream in a month. So if you don't pay them enough, and then your stream goes a couple minutes too long, they will cut you off and your stream stops, which I think they are the only platform that does that really out of any of the ones that I've tested. So that's pretty frustrating. There's also Living as One. They are a platform very popular with churches and nonprofits, and for good reason. They're very reliable. I've used them. I've actually installed some of they have the hardware encoders that we talked about yesterday, the Prism encoders. I've installed some of those for churches, and they work like a charm. They're great. Boxcast is another option, and again, they have a hardware encoder. I have not used Boxcast, but they're a pretty popular alternative to Living as One. They have a pretty good reputation. They're used by people like Toyota. So, some high-end companies pay attention to Boxcast. There's a service called churchstream.tv. I would recommend against them. They have had so many technical issues since the quarantine started and more churches began live streaming that I can't recommend them to you as a reliable service. I would just say stay away from churchstream.tv. And lastly, we're back to Vimeo with the paid tier. Now, I'm fairly new to using the paid tier of Vimeo, but it seems pretty great so far. I've not had any issues with it. Okay, we just whirlwinded through all of that information, and you can always jump back in time and rewatch it or listen to it if you need to, and this video gets posted afterwards. How do we decide which of those platforms to use? What's the process? Well, first thing you need to do is figure out where your tribe is. So you can use websites like pewresearch.org or like Gallup polling, something like that, or even just your analytics on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you are right now, to figure out where your people are. What are they using? So for example, I did an analysis like this for a church that I work with, and we found out that 88% of the people who come to their services, based on research by Pew Research and Gallup, 88% of those people are on YouTube 3 times a day. So YouTube was a tool they weren't even using because they had the Facebook channel, but YouTube was so ingrained in what their tribe was doing that we've started pivoting and finding out how to work that into their strategy. That's a great example of how the numbers can influence which distribution platform you use. Now, because they were on Facebook already, and they also have a church app that they use, we decided to go with a redistribution solution. That rhymed and sounded way more corny than I needed it to. I've been around professional speakers too long. A redistribution platform, let's say. And we went with Vimeo, which is why I've got some experience with it, but it's still fairly new to me. And we get the ability, we stream live to Vimeo, and then Vimeo broadcasts to our app, to the website, to the Facebook, and sometimes using Yellow Duck to YouTube or to Instagram, but we haven't been super satisfied with that. We're also working on building out an entire channel strategy for their YouTube platform, so that's another piece of the puzzle. So find out where your tribe is. The other thing you need to do is decide, do you want to monetize your streams? If you're going to be raising donations or even just trying to make your income off of the stream that you're doing, then you need to make sure you're using a platform that supports monetization and where people expect to be asked to pay for things. Facebook streams, not only do they not support it very well, but people are always surprised and a little bit shocked when you ask for money because that's not what Facebook is about. But on YouTube, it's sort of 50-50, and on Twitch, it's like expected that you're asking for money. So I would say focus in on YouTube or Twitch if you are planning to ask for money. You can, of course, stream to both with a redistro, but I don't know that it's the best choice. Okay, so find out where your tribe is, decide if you want to monetize, then decide if you're aiming your live streams out or in. What do I mean by that? Well, we have some material that we make that is inward facing, as in it's for the people who are already bought into the mission. If I'm a nonprofit and I've got a team of volunteers, those are my insiders. My outsiders are the people who I'm hoping will participate in the mission either by investing and donating or by joining us for like a one-time event or something like that. Those are outsiders. Now, if I want to reach insiders, people who are already bought into the mission and who are willing to sit there. They'll watch something I put out just because I did it and they're already bought in and believe in what I'm doing. Then a relational platform like Facebook or to some extent YouTube is going to be far superior to something like Twitch. But if I want to be outward facing, then a platform like Vimeo, where I can broadcast to as many places as possible, or a platform like Instagram Live, or I guess they call it IG Live if you want to be fancy. Instagram Live or YouTube. Again, YouTube is sort of the middle ground for all these things. It does everything, can work with everyone. So I don't know if you're getting a guess as to where my recommendation will be, but that's something to think about. Okay, so you decide if you're aiming outwards or inwards. And then the last thing you need to figure out is, do you need to be in multiple places? That's the only real reason to use a rebroadcasting service. Otherwise, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, they're all reliable in their own right as distribution platforms. Okay, how do we make that choice? Now we know what to think about. Where's our tribe? Do we want to monetize? Are we going to aim this live stream at our insiders or the outsiders? And do we really need it to be in multiple places? It is almost always best to stream to a single place. Even if you're a church and you think your target audience is everyone, which, spoiler alert, it can't be, but we'll come back to that that's a whole different conversation. You should pick one place and stream there. And the reason is that it will condense all of the data that you collect into one place, and it will force all of your interactions into one place. It's a lot easier to make sure you don't miss a member of your tribe if they're all talking in the same space. Whereas if you are live streaming to Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram or whatever, and someone comments the same thing, like different people comment the same question, you might be answering the same question 3 times, or they might think nobody cared about them, or you might miss it because you're not looking at any of that. There's just too many factors. So it is primarily best to live stream to one space. However, with that being said, data is the key here. So if you're experimenting with Facebook and you use Facebook for a couple months and you're not satisfied with the results, you might want to try pivoting and experimenting with YouTube, but you don't want to lose the people who are used to seeing you on Facebook. This is where maybe you take out a demo of a Vimeo premium tier. They'll give you, I think, 90 days or 30 days free or something like that. And so you can then broadcast to Facebook where you were and YouTube where you're considering, and then look at the analytics of both streams and see where you get better traction. And give it more than 1 or 2 because people need to get used to the idea that you're in a new space. But you're basically doing a study, watching the data, and then deciding based on that, oh, here's where I want to be, or here's where I don't want to be. Have I missed anything? I'm just checking my notes to make sure I didn't skip anything. I think I've said most of it. So how do we actually connect these pieces? Let's say, okay, we've decided to use YouTube. I want to put all the pieces together. Well, I'll use YouTube as my example just because I've already got them up here. Oh, that's my notes. This is my YouTube. Okay, here's YouTube. On YouTube, when you click create a new live stream, this is the page you see. And YouTube gives you a thing called your stream key. Right here, which it's covered in stars because YouTube's great like that. It's protecting me so I don't show you in the live stream. You can just hit this copy button and it will copy that to your clipboard so that you can go back into your encoder, settings, stream, and paste it right there. If you need the URL for a full RTMP stream, you can also copy that. The process will be the same on any streaming solution. So no matter who you use for your distribution platform, you'll get the stream key and you'll get the stream URL and you'll copy and paste those into your streaming engine. And that's the simple, that's just the way that it will work. So we've covered those things. We did it in a whirlwind. I normally take an hour. It's been 20 minutes. Are there questions? Have I said anything too quickly? And let's just see what happens here. If not, I will breeze right ahead into endpoints as well, just because there's only a tiny amount of information to learn about endpoints. And then I will leave us off with some expectations for the future. I'm just giving it a minute to see if any questions trickle in. I'm watching the chat. Doesn't look like anything new's happening. In fact, let me check here. There may not even be anybody watching. Oh, there's at least one viewer. I see a viewer. I see you. I see you. Welcome. I'm glad you're here with me. It's just me and you today. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. I'm a little caffeinated. I apologize. Great. So then I'm going to roll right into endpoints. Now, I've said it all week, we can't control what endpoints our tribe uses to view our live streams. The endpoint is, their phone or their TV or their laptop. It's literally their choice because they have to choose what device they're going to use to consume your content. But we do need to keep in mind what they might decide so that we can send them a live stream that will perform well on that device. And there are only a handful of things we really need to consider and change with this, but we do need to make sure that we're keeping it in mind. And a way to figure that out, by the way, is again, in your analytics, in the data that Facebook or YouTube or whoever collects about your live stream, there's usually an option to learn what devices people are using. So you can see how many of your viewers viewed from an iPad versus a phone versus a tablet versus whatever else, all those different pieces. And then based on that, you want to figure out, okay, how do a big piece of it is aspect ratio. How do I format the stream in terms of like, do I go widescreen? Like this is a 16 by 9, like 16 across the top and 9 down the side is the ratio. I said that in too many complicated ways. Let me slow down here. I'm trying to like fly through this so I don't lose power. Okay. You can stream in portrait or landscape. That's what we normally call it, right? This is a landscape photo. It's wider than it is tall. Those will look good on computers and TVs. Now we can send that to a phone because they can always turn the phone sideways. But if our goal is to interact with the tribe who are viewing, it's a lot harder for them to type comments on a sideways phone than on a vertical phone. So if most of them are going to be viewing from a phone instead of a computer, consider sending them a vertical stream so that they can interact easily using one thumb. If they're going to be on mobile, you also want to make sure that you really, really pay attention to your sound. Don't just listen to it in headphones or out of your laptop. Actually find a phone and listen to what it sounds like. Because the real truth is all phones have tiny trash speakers. And no matter how good the sound going in is, your phone on the other end is going to ruin it and mangle it up. So you want to make sure that when you're testing your sound, you hear it coming out of a phone to make sure that it's passable and it sounds okay and you can live with the solution you're getting. Audio over live stream is always a compromise. There's no way to do it perfectly. Even this, I am unhappy with the result that I'm getting. It's clear and the background is quiet, but it could be a lot better if I were not being forced to accommodate the trash quality of speakers on the other end. So that's something to keep in mind, is sound is going to be harder to make great on the little trash speakers that phones have. I keep calling them trash speakers. It's like an addiction. I can't stop. You can also get away with a lower bit rate. We talked about bit rate yesterday, so if that's confusing, just jump back to yesterday's stream. You can get away with a lower bit rate, which basically means less quality, stream if you're sending to phones, because the screens are teeny tiny. So if you can't see all the details, that's not always a huge deal because the screen is so teeny tiny. I guess if you're going to send like a tutorial where you're broadcasting like your computer screen and they need to read what you're clicking on, maybe not in that case. But normally, you can get away with those low bitrate streams because the screen is tiny. Okay, and those are all the things you consider. So when you are streaming, you need to choose your platform by looking at your user data. Where are your users now? What platform is going to support your goals, right? Do you want to monetize? Do you want to interact with your viewers? Do you want to just get the content out there? How reliable do you need it to be? Is this a once every now and then thing, or do you need to be paying a service like Vimeo to guarantee your results? And then you also want to consider your endpoints. Where will my user be viewing this? And if my primary audience is going to be using mobile devices like their phones or iPads, how can I make sure that my sound is top-notch? How can I make sure that they're able to interact in the comments, if that's a priority for me? And do I need to send a high-quality stream, or can I get away with a lower-quality stream because they're going to be viewing on tiny screens? Now, tomorrow, when I live stream, hopefully not in the midst of a storm, I'm going to recommend some actual full gear purchases. Like I will fill up shopping carts on bestbuy.com or something and show you here's exactly what I would buy for different use cases. So we'll talk about for the church that wants to go live with their services. We'll talk about for the gamer who wants to stream. We'll talk about for the nonprofit that wants to update sponsors. We'll talk about for people who have events and they just need a once every now and then solution that they don't need to think much about. We'll talk about for the non-techie person. We'll talk about for the one-man operation. All these different solutions. We'll go through what gear do I actually think you should buy? What encoder should you use? what platform should you use. I will build the entire system right in front of you. If you have a specific use case that you're wondering about, then drop it in the comments and I will pay attention, and tomorrow I will cover that use case. Now, I guess if I get like 50 use cases, I won't be able to do all of them. But since I only have like 12 subscribers, hey, you 12 are the MVPs. Since I only have 12 subscribers, I'm not expecting to get overwhelmed. So I can probably get to all of them. This is your chance to get in on the ground floor. I normally charge a couple $1,000s for a consultation like what I'm doing tomorrow. So that's something to bear in mind. And yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. Just like, hopefully just like all the other days this week, as opposed to like today where the storm is a brewing. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your quarantine. And just like last time, I'll see you next time.